Hello, this is Jordan Nelson. This is my critical task number 2 interview with an ELL for Professors Soonyoung Kim and Patricia Grant, and I'm in Tuesday's 925 class. The person I chose to interview for critical task number 2 is Jacqueline. Jacqueline is a friend of mine who I've known for about 3 years. She is originally from Puerto Rico. She moved to New Jersey at the age of about 6 years old. Although Puerto Rico is part of the United States, their main language is Spanish. And her family was fluent in Spanish. Most Puerto Ricans will tell you that and pride themselves in the fact that their Spanish is a little different than most Spanishes. It's kind of a mix between English and Spanish. However, Jackie recalls a time after she moved to New Jersey that her and her family did not know English, and they would ask perfect strangers to help them translate certain words just to get them by in the grocery store or at a market. She says that her parents would use translation dictionaries and even ask friends that they eventually met in their hometown. When it came time for her to attend school, she was introduced to the ELL program, and she really had some mixed emotions about this. She was frustrated that she had to do this program because her new friends did not have to, but she ended up liking it because it helped her become fluent in English, and in the long run, it helped her with her friends at school. She states that education is very, very important to her family. And because of this, her parents really wanted to communicate mostly in English. And this is something that she recalls helped her with learning English faster. She says that they didn't very much talk Spanish in their house because they were trying to become fluent in English. Now, however, they do speak Spanish. If I go over to their house, most conversation is in Spanish. But she does believe that the hardest part for them throughout the years of learning English was the slang talk. For for deep culture, I chose concepts of time. I asked Jackie about concept of time for her family, and we kind of had a little laugh about this because Jackie is never on time for anything. So I kind of already knew the answer to this question. However, I didn't know if this was something that was just Puerto Rican or if it was just her family. So I went on to look it up, and I found in the Urban Dictionary that the Puerto Rican time is usually 30 minutes to 3 hours after you need them there. So me and Jackie had a good laugh about this. She says that time wasn't ever super important to them, that they never really paid attention to the time. Um, she recalls that she was the last one to everything, even class, and she remembers getting in trouble for this in school. However, she does believe that this is something that schools here should kind of take into consideration. If in Puerto Rico time wasn't important to them, it's hard for you to just adjust right off the bat. She believes that although there wasn't much in concept of time with her family, she believes that after moving to New Jersey, she got better with time. She remembers being late to school. However, after a few years of that, she does believe that it got better. Her core values, she stated that the biggest core value was the importance of education. Education, as stated before, is one of her family's big importances. Jackie can recall this is important for most Puerto Ricans she knows. She said that education is what gets you jobs and brings you money. She did state, however, that although her family was not very well off with money, she believes that money was very important in the culture. She stated that money may not be the most important thing, however, hard work is. Puerto Rico is a very poor state, and because of this, it really makes you value hard work. Her family believes working hard will get you everywhere, and this is something that has always been pushed into her head by her father. He said, if you aren't giving 110% in everything you do, then don't do it at all. With the education, Jackie didn't go to school in Puerto Rico, so she didn't know much about it. So we did call her dad and ask him some questions about it. He did attend school there, but he laughed and said that was many years ago. So he helped. He did tell me that he didn't notice much difference in the schools, but he did say that the classroom sizes were really a struggle for him to get used to, because the small community that they lived in, the schools were really, really small. In Puerto Rico, the schools were mostly poor schools, and so technology was pretty non-existent. He said that from what he can tell, it's gotten better through the years, but before it was just non-existent. They don't have near the technology that we have. He states that one thing that surprised him when Jackie attended school was the amount of technology. And even when she was in school, the amount of technology is nowhere near the amount of technology that there is now. Most schools in Puerto Rico at the elementary level are private schools. However, there are some small public schools. And Jackie's dad did say that the school systems, even the public schools, they all wore uniforms. He said that most schools in Puerto Rico wore uniforms. In New Jersey, it was just a private school thing. And also here, it's a private school thing too. So that was a huge difference I saw. They couldn't choose their classes. The schools did not allow much of a choice in a lot of the departments. Like most schools, though, here they do offer sex education, but I feel like after doing research, their sex education classes went a lot further into detail than what we're used to. Um, According to a website, I found that in their sex education classes, the talks continue to abortions and sexually transmitted diseases. Um, Physical education is a part of the education in Puerto Rico. He said that Jackie's dad said that that was probably his favorite part of the day when he was a student. Um, this is something that we have similar. They also had art and music class. Um, Jackie's dad stated that due to the small nature of the classrooms, the student-teacher relationship is pretty close. He knew all of the staff at his school, and they knew all of the students. This made him feel more at ease. He said the hard part with Jackie's school in New Jersey was that they didn't have the tight-knit bonds like the schools in Puerto Rico. But he did like the technology part of the school. Jackie says that she feels the same way. She believes that she's seen her schools not be as personable. Uh, she believes that if schools could be more personable, it may have made school easier for her. Here is the language portion of my paper with the alphabet. It says the Spanish alphabet is very similar to the American alphabet. They both use the Roman alphabet. In Puerto Rico, they pride themselves in speaking a unique English, or Spanish. They believe that Spanish is a mixture of Spanish and English. Jackie's father, however, says that they spoke predominant Spanish and that he never learned English in his time being there. The biggest noted difference between English and Spanish is the different number of vowel sounds. I found on colorincolorado.org that they only have 5 vowel sounds in Spanish, whereas we have over 14. With the vowel sounds in English, it makes it harder for Spanish to understand the different phonemes. There is a difference in masculine and feminine. In Spanish words, they tend to put an O after masculine words, and an example of this that I stated was if you want to say, hey, friend, if it's a boy that you're talking to or a male, you would say hola, amigo. And if it's a female, you would say hola, amiga. I feel like this is kind of interesting and would help with the English, but if there was more masculine and feminine type words, we just have boy, girl, hey, friend. And another similarity is the fact that they have articles. Some of the articles that Jackie pointed out to me are a, un, and el. These are common articles which are also used in our example above with our writing example. In English, a and a are the same. In the semantics and pragmatics, English is one of the main things you learn is that the noun goes after the adjective. In Spanish, however, it's opposite. Spanish translations always put the adjective after the noun. It's important. This is something that you have to learn because it was hard on Jackie because she's used to it being opposite, and when you learn a new language, this is very important. After fully interviewing Jackie and her father, I've realized there are a couple things that we can do to help ELL students who are coming from the Spanish language. It would be extremely important for the teacher to point out when forming sentences to how the different structures are. If something that is not made clear, then the student may have a hard time understanding what is happening during the translation process. This is something that can affect the student's translations permanently. If they don't know to do the adjectives where they're supposed to go, then how are they supposed to understand the language? Another very important thing I learned through this interview is that everywhere is different. School systems are different. Students may be used to one type of learning. You can't force them. Give them time. I think that if we could just try to incorporate different teaching methods, maybe looking to see how one country's teaching methods are different than another country's, and maybe try to help and use that way of teaching them. If they all have the same line of communication, then parents can speak freely with their teachers about their concerns. This is something that I really thought was important. I think that teachers need to have a great line of communication with parents at all times. So that's my paper. It's not fully completed. I have a couple of things that I need to fix, but this is